Have you ever stood up from your favorite chair and felt like your legs suddenly aged 10 years overnight? Or maybe the stairs you used to climb with ease now feel like they belong on the side of a mountain. If you're over 60 and noticing your legs getting weaker or just not as steady as they used to be, you're not imagining it. And no, it's not just getting old. There are real, specific reasons this is happening. And the good news? Most of them can be improved, even reversed, once you know what to look out for. In today's video, we're uncovering the 5 biggest reasons your legs are losing strength after 60, and what you can start doing today to feel more stable, more energetic, and more confident in every step you take. So if you're ready to walk stronger, move easier, and stay independent for years to come, hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and let's take the first step together. Because your legs may be aging, but that doesn't mean they have to get weaker. Number 1. Muscle loss. You can't see, the silent thief called sarcopenia. There's a quiet kind of strength we all carry when we're younger. It shows up in simple ways: getting up from the couch without using your hands, lifting a grandchild with ease, walking up a flight of stairs without stopping to catch your breath. We don't give these little moments much thought, until one day they start to feel different, a little slower, a little harder, a little less certain. And when that day comes, many of us just shrug and say, well, I'm getting older. But what we often don't realize is that something very specific and very fixable is happening behind the scenes. It's called sarcopenia, and it's one of the most common yet least talked about challenges of aging. Sarcopenia is the gradual and natural loss of muscle mass and strength that begins in our 50s and becomes more noticeable in our 60s and beyond. It doesn't happen overnight. It's slow and subtle. So subtle that most people don't even know it's happening until they find themselves struggling with movements that used to come easily. The stairs become more of a challenge. Standing up from a soft chair takes more effort. Long walks leave you more fatigued than refreshed. What makes sarcopenia so sneaky is that it doesn't always show up where we expect. You might look in the mirror and see the same body you've had for years. You might even weigh the same. But inside, your body is quietly changing. Muscle is being replaced by fat or simply disappearing altogether. And because muscle's denser than fat, the scale won't tell you a thing. That's exactly what happened to Thomas, a 74-year-old neighbor of mine. A retired school teacher, Thomas had always thought of himself as active enough. He walked around the block each morning, worked in the yard a few times a week, and still did his own shopping. But he started noticing that he needed to push off with his hands to get out of his recliner. Carrying groceries up the steps made his legs burn. He figured it was just part of aging, until his doctor explained that he had lost more than 10% of his muscle mass over the last decade. That was the wake-up call. And Thomas is not alone. This happens to millions of older adults every year. The loss of muscle doesn't just affect your strength, it affects your balance, mobility, energy, and even your independence. It can turn a stumble into a fall, a short walk into an exhausting chore, or a simple task like getting dressed into a frustrating experience. The good news? Sarcopenia isn't a life sentence. In fact, it's one of the few age-related conditions that can actually be slowed down or even reversed with the right habits. And no, it doesn't require a gym membership or heavy weights. Gentle resistance training, chair exercises, bodyweight movements, or even walking with a slight incline can help rebuild lost muscle. The key is consistency and intention. Protein also plays a role. As we age, our bodies don't use protein as efficiently, which means we need slightly more of it just to maintain what we have. So if you're only eating light meals or skipping protein at breakfast, your muscles may not be getting the support they need to stay strong. Most of all, it's important to understand that muscle isn't just about movement. It's about freedom. Freedom to go where you want, do what you love, and live without fear of falling or losing your independence. That freedom is worth fighting for. And as we protect and rebuild our muscles, we can't ignore the structure that holds them all together: our bones. Because muscle loss is only one piece of the puzzle. What's happening inside your skeleton could be playing an even bigger role in why your legs feel weaker than they used to. Let's look at that next. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. Now, let's move on to point number 2. Number 2. Bone density and balance. The hidden role of your skeleton. As we get older, we begin to notice that the body we once trusted so easily doesn't feel quite as steady. Maybe it's the way we hesitate before going down a staircase, or how we reach for a wall just to feel more grounded. Often the blame is placed on muscles, and that's fair. But what many seniors don't realize is that the bones beneath those muscles may be playing an even bigger role in why the legs begin to feel weaker, more wobbly, or less reliable than before. The truth is, bone loss is a silent process. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't show on the outside, but inside, it's gradually changing the way our body supports itself. Conditions like osteopenia and osteoporosis cause bones to become more porous, more fragile, and less capable of withstanding the daily forces of standing, walking, or even carrying groceries. As bones weaken, especially in the hips, spine, and legs, our posture begins to shift. When your skeleton changes shape, your muscles have to adapt. This often means extra strain on the thighs, knees, and calves just to maintain balance. Over time, that extra workload wears them down. The risk is greater than most of us want to admit. We've all heard stories of someone who fell, broke a hip, and never quite recovered. But it often starts long before the fall. It starts with the body subtly trying to compensate, shoulders rolling forward, steps getting shorter, balance getting more cautious. And worst of all, we begin to avoid movement out of fear. That fear, while understandable, is what causes even more harm. When we stop moving, our muscles weaken. When our muscles weaken, our bones lose stimulation. And so the cycle continues until confidence is gone and the body no longer trusts itself. I once knew 2 women at my local senior center. Both were in their early 70s. One had been diagnosed with osteopenia 5 years earlier. She took it seriously, started a gentle resistance program, took her calcium and vitamin D every day, and went for balance training classes twice a week. The other, who hadn't yet been diagnosed but had the same risk factors, was terrified of falling and stopped walking outside entirely. She sat more, moved less, and avoided anything that felt unstable. Within 2 years, she'd suffered a compression fracture in her spine, not from a fall, but from simply bending over to pick up a dropped item. That's the hidden danger. Bone loss can progress without any symptoms, until it's too late. That's why regular DEXA scans are so important. They're painless, quick, and can tell you exactly where your bone strength stands. And combined with your doctor's guidance, they help shape a plan that protects not just your bones, but your whole way of life. Nutrients matter too. Many older adults don't get enough calcium or vitamin D, either from diet or sunlight. These nutrients are essential, not just for maintaining bone density, but for supporting the muscle and nerve functions that keep us stable. Adding more leafy greens, fortified dairy, or safe sunlight exposure can make a meaningful difference. But perhaps the most powerful change is one of mindset. We mustn't let fear take the driver's seat. Gentle, consistent movement, whether it's chair yoga, water aerobics, or walking in safe environments, can strengthen both bones and confidence. And so, as we work to support the legs that carry us, we must remember to start from the inside out. The strength of our skeleton isn't something we see, but it shapes every move we make. And yet, while we've talked about bone loss and muscle decline, there's another piece of the puzzle. Something more subtle, but just as dangerous. It's not about what's happening inside your body, but what's not happening in your day-to-day life. Because what we don't do each day may be doing more harm than we realize. Let's look at that next. Number 3, sedentary lifestyle. Here's something most people don't realize. After the age of 60, the average person spends more than 9 hours a day sitting down. That's more time than we spend sleeping. And while sitting may feel restful, especially for tired legs or aching joints, too much of it slowly weakens the very muscles we depend on to move freely and safely. The danger of a sedentary lifestyle isn't dramatic, it's subtle, which makes it all the more dangerous. Many older adults, myself included at one point, have assumed that doing a little light housework, walking to the mailbox, or cooking a meal in the kitchen is enough to count as being active. It feels like movement. But the truth is, those small bursts of activity don't come close to what our bodies need to stay strong, especially our legs. Our largest muscle groups, the glutes, thighs, and calves, need regular stimulation to stay strong and stable. Without that, they quietly begin to shrink and weaken. When I first retired, I looked forward to the rest. No more rushing, no more deadlines. But within a few months, I began to notice I was sitting more than I ever had before. A bit of reading in the morning, lunch at the table, a few shows in the afternoon, phone calls with friends, all good things. But suddenly, I realized I was spending nearly 8 to 10 hours a day in a chair, without even meaning to. My legs started to feel stiff. I felt slower on the stairs. I brushed it off as age, until a physical therapist helped me see what was really happening. My muscles weren't tired, they were underused. Prolonged sitting doesn't just weaken muscles. It also reduces circulation, making it harder for oxygen and nutrients to reach the legs and feet. Over time, this can affect how quickly we heal, how steady we feel when walking, and how confident we are in our own body. Even more concerning, too much sitting dulls the communication between the brain and the legs. The little nerve signals that help us balance and catch ourselves before a fall, they slow down when we don't move often enough. That's why the idea of active sitting, or movement snacks, has become so important. These are small but intentional moments of movement throughout the day, like standing up during commercials, stretching at the kitchen counter, or doing simple leg lifts while seated. They don't replace a daily walk or exercise routine, but they add up. Even a few minutes of movement every hour can help maintain circulation, wake up sleepy muscles, and restore a sense of energy that we often think we've lost for good. We have to stop thinking of movement as something that only happens in one big workout or daily walk. Movement is every step to the fridge, every time we reach to open a cabinet, or stretch our legs before standing. The key is to make those moments intentional, not accidental. And here's the lesson that took me years to truly understand. Inactivity is a slow poison. It doesn't hurt right away, but it chips away at your strength, your balance, and your independence, until one day, a short walk to the mailbox feels like a mountain. The good news is, just a few mindful choices a day can begin to turn that around. But even if you're moving more and sitting less, that's only part of the puzzle. Because the legs we're trying to strengthen can only do so much if they're not being fed properly. What you eat, especially after 60, can make the difference between progress and frustration. So let's talk about that next. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. Now let's keep going with point number 4. Number 4, nutrient gaps that starve your strength. As we get older, one of the most overlooked reasons our legs begin to feel weaker isn't just how we move, but what we feed our bodies. Exercise matters, of course, but without the right nutrition, even the best routines can fall flat. Muscles, especially aging muscles, need very specific nutrients to function, recover, and grow. Without them, strength slips away, slowly, quietly, and often without warning. One of the most common nutrient gaps in seniors is protein. After 60, the body becomes less efficient at processing protein, meaning we need more of it, not less, to maintain muscle mass. Yet many older adults fall into eating patterns that include light breakfasts, skipped lunches, or small portions that just don't provide enough building blocks for strong legs. A cup of tea and toast may feel comforting, but it doesn't deliver what your muscles need to stay active and resilient. Protein is critical because it contains amino acids, which are the foundation of muscle repair and recovery. Without enough protein, muscles shrink, fatigue more easily, and take longer to bounce back from everyday activity. Worse still, the body may begin breaking down existing muscle to meet its needs, creating a slow decline in strength even when you're trying to stay active. Another major player is vitamin D. Known for its role in bone health, vitamin D also supports muscle function and balance. Many seniors, especially those who don't get much sun exposure, are unknowingly deficient. This can lead to weakness in the legs, slower reflexes, and even greater fall risk. Supplementation or vitamin D-rich foods like fortified milk, eggs, and fatty fish can make a meaningful difference. Magnesium is another key nutrient often overlooked. It plays a central role in muscle contraction and nerve signaling, two things that must work together smoothly for you to walk confidently. A magnesium deficiency can cause muscle cramps, spasms, or a feeling of general fatigue in the lower body. Leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and whole grains are great natural sources, yet they're often missing from the typical senior diet. Then there's vitamin B12, essential for nerve function and red blood cell production. Without it, the legs may feel heavy, numb, or sluggish. Deficiencies in B12 are common in older adults because absorption decreases with age, especially for those taking certain medications or with digestive concerns. B12 can be found in animal products like meat, dairy, and eggs, or through supplements if needed. The pattern is clear. While we may think we're eating enough, we're often not eating the right things. Meals become smaller, appetites change, and old habits take over. But those shifts, while understandable, can leave our muscles starved for what they need most. To close those gaps, consider simple changes that fit your lifestyle. Start your day with a high-protein breakfast, something like Greek yogurt with berries and a sprinkle of nuts, scrambled eggs with spinach, or a protein-rich smoothie. Smoothies can be an easy way to combine protein, fiber, and healthy fats in one meal. Add a scoop of whey protein or look for ingredients rich in leucine, an amino acid especially important for muscle preservation. These aren't trendy fads. They're practical tools that help aging muscles hold their strength and support your freedom to move. Eating well after 60 isn't about perfection. It's about intention. Each meal becomes a small act of care, a vote in favor of strength, stability, and staying connected to the life you love. But even if you're feeding your muscles exactly what they need, there's still one more challenge many seniors overlook. It has less to do with food or movement and everything to do with how well your body can deliver energy and signals to your legs. That's where we're headed next. Let's talk about circulation and nerve health. Number 5, poor circulation and nerve damage. When it comes to leg strength, we often focus on the muscles, and for good reason. But sometimes the true issue lies deeper, in the quiet systems that support and connect everything, our circulation and our nerves. These are the unsung heroes that keep our legs feeling energized, coordinated, and responsive. And when they begin to falter, we may feel weak, not because our muscles are failing, but because they're not being properly supported from within. As we age, blood vessels tend to stiffen. This reduces their ability to carry oxygen-rich blood down to the legs and feet. At the same time, nerves, especially those in the lower extremities, can begin to degrade. Conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and peripheral artery disease can quietly damage the small nerves and vessels in the feet long before dramatic symptoms ever appear. It can begin with something subtle, a strange fatigue in the calves, a sense of heaviness, a light numbness that comes and goes. That's what happened to Margaret, a 72-year-old retired librarian. She had always been steady on her feet and enjoyed her daily morning walks around the block. But slowly her legs began to feel heavier, more drained. Not sore, just tired. She tried stretching more, even cut her walks shorter, but the fatigue kept showing up. She wasn't out of breath, and she hadn't lost strength in her legs. It was as though her body wasn't keeping up, and she couldn't explain why. When she finally spoke with her doctor, tests revealed that Margaret had reduced blood flow in her lower legs, a common issue in older adults that often goes unnoticed. Her muscles weren't the problem. They simply weren't getting enough oxygen and nutrients to perform properly. Her nerves, too, were beginning to respond more slowly, especially in the feet, making her feel slightly off balance at times. Once she made targeted changes, like adding more walking breaks into her day, wearing circulation-friendly shoes, and adjusting her diet to include foods that support vascular and nerve health, Margaret felt a real difference. She didn't regain her old speed, but she could walk longer and with more confidence. Her legs weren't just stronger, they were more alive. Margaret's story isn't uncommon. Poor circulation and nerve function are often overlooked because they don't always show up in blood tests or on a bathroom scale. But their effects on leg strength, balance, and mobility are very real. The good news is we can support these systems with small, thoughtful choices. Daily movement helps keep blood flowing, even short walks or ankle rolls while sitting. Foods rich in antioxidants, healthy fats, and B vitamins, like leafy greens, salmon, berries, nuts, and whole grains, can nourish both vessels and nerves. Staying hydrated is equally important, as thick, sluggish blood makes circulation harder. Footwear also plays a bigger role than many realize. Shoes that are too tight can restrict blood flow, while those with no support can stress the nerves in the soles. Comfortable, well-cushioned shoes with proper arch support help keep your body aligned and your feet energized. If you deal with diabetes or neuropathy, daily foot checks and wearing soft, seamless socks can help prevent injuries you may not even feel developing. Most of all, listen to your legs. If they're always tired, tingling, or feel clumsy, don't brush it off as just getting older. It could be a message from your circulation or your nervous system asking for support. Because when we take care of our vessels and nerves, we protect something even more valuable than strength. We protect our freedom to move, to explore, and to live life on our own terms. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. Now that we've uncovered the 5 hidden causes of leg weakness after 60, let's take a moment to reflect on what this really means for your daily life, and how to take the next step towards strength and independence. If you've made it this far, give yourself a big pat on the back and maybe a little leg stretch while you're at it. Because now, you're not just wondering why your legs feel weaker, you know. And more importantly, you know what to do about it. From sneaky muscle loss to silent circulation issues, these 5 reasons aren't just facts. They're wake-up calls wrapped in wisdom. And remember, this isn't about chasing youth. It's about protecting your freedom, your confidence, and your joy in movement. Whether it's walking through the garden, dancing in the kitchen, or getting up from your chair without a second thought, strong legs mean a strong life. So, I'd love to hear from you. What tip are you going to try this week? Share it in the comments. If this video gave you something valuable, comment 1 below. If not, feel free to type 0. Your feedback helps this community grow stronger, just like your legs will. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss out on new ways to age powerfully, gracefully, and on your own terms. I'm cheering you on, one step at a time.